What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another review. This time around, an audio only review. I'm a few weeks late on the whole Top Gun discussion. Last night I was having some fun for my birthday, and I'm feeling a little bit hungover and just kind of laid back, a little tired. So I just figured, hey, listen, I still want to talk about Top Gun here on the channel, but why not do an audio only review, and this time around not only about Top Gun Maverick, the brand new film that everybody's buzzing about, but also about the original from 1986. Just kind of wanted to bunch them together here. Recently did a rewatch of Top Gun the original, so I can kind of get a refresher moving into the new movie. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this review. Let's get into this. Top Gun 1986, directed by Tony Scott. Of course, iconic cast: Tom Cruise, Kelly McGillis, Val Kilmer, Anthony Edwards. I mean, just top-notch stuff. You got Danger Zone in there, left and right. I mean, that has to be like probably the most played individual song in any movie, or at least in a soundtrack kind of way. Maybe not like a score that has reprising themes and motifs and stuff, but more of like, specifically songs that have lyrics and are actually just kind of added in as the soundtrack. Yeah, I don't think I can think of another movie that has a certain song that plays that many times. But yeah, it was nice to go back and revisit the original Top Gun. I found it to be a good time going back and revisiting it. But upon revisiting it, I will say, and it's something I always kind of knew about the film from the times I've seen it before, but I can easily say it's been over 10 years since I've seen the original. It's a movie that is kind of hollow. There's not a whole lot going on in the story. There's not a whole lot really that takes place. There's not this great 3-act structure, which is the best part about the sequel, and we're going to get into that in a moment. But the sequel actually has like a real narrative. There's character growth, and though there's some of that in the first film, it's definitely an iconic film, don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's a little bit hollow when it comes to its narrative. It doesn't really have any of that, but it's got the iconic lines. It's got the great looking visuals. It's got great cinematography. The music is iconic. You got great charismatic performances. And yeah, outside of those memorable elements that kind of lean into the nostalgia of this film, yeah, I just find it to be, a pretty decent film. There's nothing crazy to its story. It's just two guys that end up going to this flight academy, school thing called Top Gun, and Tom Cruise's character ends up, kind of trying to get it on with his his teacher of this thing, played by Kelly McGillis, and she plays the character of Charlie. And yeah, their relationship is fine. It's nothing crazy, but it's definitely of its time. It's very much dated in that way. But yeah, overall, I enjoy this film. It was nice to go back and revisit. Val Kilmer is great in this movie. Anthony Edwards, of course. I guess spoiler alert for a movie that's pretty old at this point. Yeah, when it comes to the whole Goose element of the movie, I do find it to be a bit abrupt, the way that he dies in the movie. It is sad, but sometimes I feel like the way that scene plays out, kind of, at least how quickly and how abrupt it happens, I don't know, it sometimes feels so anticlimactic, just kind of random that it happened, but it's definitely a sad part of the movie, definitely a standout moment. And Anthony Edwards is definitely a great actor in the film. I really enjoyed the chemistry between him and Tom Cruise in the movie, which honestly really sells all of these moments. And yeah, so like I said earlier, the music is great too. You have that iconic theme that plays throughout, and yeah, definitely got to praise Harold Faltermeyer, who is the composer of this film. Really enjoy his work. And yeah, there's not much more to say on Top Gun. The movie's been out for a long time. There's a lot of reviews for it, but going back and revisiting it, still an enjoyable time. It's got that great iconic element to it when it comes to its soundtrack, its score, its look, its vibe, all the the jet action, and the actual real things that they were able to capture on footage, and old school techniques, especially from the time. And it's great to see kind of what they did with the new technology today and what they were able to kind of do with the sequel. But yeah, overall, enjoy the film, but at its core, I think it's a pretty generic movie in terms of its story, but it's got really iconic elements. A really great charismatic lead. You got again, the music, the look, the quotes, all that stuff that just elevates this movie to be a little bit more than just a generic film. It's got that iconic element to it. Absolutely, it's an enjoyable watch. And yeah, let's move on over to the sequel, and that is Top Gun Maverick. It's a movie everybody's been going crazy about. I was at Star Wars Celebration in California a few weeks back when it did air, or when it did come out, not air, but yeah, it was nice to finally get to check out this movie yesterday. This movie is directed by Joseph Kosinski, who's directed films like Oblivion, which also starred Tom Cruise, and Tron Legacy, which is a movie that gets a lot of crap, but I honestly really thoroughly enjoy. And this time around, you have Tom Cruise returning, you do have Val Kilmer returning, but you also have a lot of new members to the cast this time around, like Jennifer Connelly, who plays Penny, an old love interest of Maverick from back in the day, who honestly, as much as I love Jennifer Connelly and I enjoyed the romance between her and Maverick in this movie, I kind of found her character to be just random. The movie really, its core, its center is really about Miles Teller's character along with Maverick, and that is the character of Rooster Bradley, who is the son of Goose, obviously, and we already saw that from the trailers. Everybody knows that at this point. And so this movie really is at its core about Maverick and Goose, or not Goose, I'm sorry, this is about Maverick and this Goose's son, Rooster. And this is really at its core something that is about kind of forgiveness and moving on, and wanting to be there for somebody, even if you've done something that has hurt them, you know what I mean. And it's kind of about the internal guilt on Maverick's part, as well as Rooster's kind of animosity and hatred that he's kind of held towards Maverick all these years because of what happened to his dad, and so their bond over the course of the film, and them kind of going through this journey throughout the course of the film, for me, was the central focal point of the movie. Really, this movie does a really great job of having a great arc for those two characters. Like I said before, I enjoy the Jennifer Connelly element of it too, but that part of it just kind of feels disjointed, especially because it's like we don't know who this character is. At least maybe if is this a pre-existing character that I don't remember? I just kind of feels like random in the movie. I feel like if they had brought back Kelly McGillis, it would make a little more sense. But yeah, this film also stars people like John Hamm and Glenn Powell, Monica Barbaro, and overall, I really enjoyed the cast of this film. And one of the most notable things about this film that makes it so awesome is the fact that they actually were in jets and planes for majority of the filming of this movie, which is pretty awesome, or at least all of it from what I understand. And what's incredible about this film is what they were able to capture. I mean, if you look at any of the videos of featurettes of how they filmed this with the other jets that had cameras on them, the cameras that they actually had inside the jets themselves that they could operate themselves, and all of these actors having to learn to adapt their bodies to be able to go up there and withstand the G-forces and different things like that. It's pretty wild what they were able to capture on camera. The performances are fantastic. It feels real and tangible, and it's just a really enjoyable film. I like the way that this movie looked. There was so much about it that it just felt so real. And what was great about it too is you really never knew, at least I couldn't tell, when it was digital and when it was practical, because the big praise around this film has been that majority of what was done practically in actual jets and planes. But of course, there are certain parts of the movie where you're like, okay, well, they are not going to put these actors in full-blown crazy danger with some of the moments that this movie does have, even though they are pretty much still in like crazy danger with everything that they did. But it was really cool to see the practical effect element, because I could never really tell what was digital and what was practical. I thought that was a really awesome element of the film. It gave it this tangible, real feeling. I don't really think that there are very many movies that are able to capture something like this in the exact same way that this did. I think Tom Cruise came to play. I think everybody came to play. I think overall they really, as they say, really understood the assignment. And this was a really, really awesome legacy sequel. I've been hearing people call it the perfect legacy sequel, the best legacy sequel. Maybe, who knows? But overall, I did find it to just be a really enjoyable movie from beginning to end. I really enjoyed the score and how they reprise elements. I mean, the movie opens and it feels like you can't help but kind of have like some, nostalgia, like the way that the credits open at the beginning, that whole spiel about Top Gun at the very top, when the title card shows up. And yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed just being able to kind of get back into the Top Gun world with all the modern elements of filmmaking. So yeah, that's going to be my thoughts on Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. Overall, two good movies. The original, I think, is, a classic with iconic elements and iconic, characters and quotes and all that stuff. But, at its core is kind of hollow. And I think that this, for me, is just like, this is like an Empire Strikes Back kind of sequel for the Top Gun, and they were able to do so much with the modern day technology. Here's this sequel that takes what the first one was and just runs with it and really expands on it, because like I said, the first one is in some ways hollow, but there's this love for that first film to a new degree, especially with the nostalgia. And so to be able to see a new movie come and really take it seriously and really put more meat on the bones than the first movie had, I think it's great. I think this one is definitely better than the first movie, which is crazy. That's not usually the case when you really think about it. How long has there been the history of movies that just don't meet up to the last one? What I mean? Sequels that are not as good as the last, and that's an issue that we still see with a lot of franchises and things. So it's really nice to see a new Top Gun movie that I feel really, honestly, if they ended it right here, it'd be perfect. It could be a perfect two-part story. And yeah, overall, I just really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I gotta commend everybody who was a part of making this movie, because I think they did a fantastic job. So yeah, that's gonna be the end of my thoughts on these movies, guys. Thank you so much. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video, comment your thoughts for more videos, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.